you can't do that here, but you can do it over there. So we'll move and we'll keep it going. But keep on. What else did he say? And a pestilence. He said against these great kingdoms. That's why we come out here. That's why we teach. Whether it be here or another corner every week. Because our people need us. And we're unafraid to speak of the things that make people cringe. Because in reality, for the few people that are out here, of our people, either you're poor or you're sold out. And what I mean by you sold out, you made accommodations to try to fit in better into the higher society. Yeah, I said it. Because guess what? When you go into a business area or a business environment, they consider certain things unprofessional. My hair, I would not be able to wear it in an office because that's unprofessional. A beard, most times you are not allowed in the office because that's considered unprofessional. But that's the laws of our God, who we're completely oblivious to. But he said, they spoke against great kingdoms of pestilences. We're unafraid to speak on these things. Unafraid to reality, because we need to come out of these places and stop living amongst these people. Because they got you feeling good. They make you feel like, you know what, maybe they aren't all bad. But how many white men have killed young black men and gotten off? How many young black men have been killed and nobody was indicted or held accountable? How many of you only got the jobs you have because you were in a fraternity? Your house Negroes living right under the boot and right under the hand of massa. And you feel like you made it because you're no longer in the hood. Should that even have been where you came from? But that's why we continue to teach. But even the scriptures say, the wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. We're going to read that right out of the Bible. That's why we come out here. People looking at us strange. Call the white people devils in their face, because that's the reality. How many of these people really care about you? You out here because there's money to be made. That's it. You're being pimped. How many of them actually live amongst you? And even though there's these nice buildings, I'm sure there's segregation within them. But read that, Proverbs 20:81.
Proverbs chapter 28, verse 1. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion.
He said the righteous are bold as a lion. Out here on the corners, on your corners, teaching our people. Because in reality, if we don't, then no one else will. And there's been so many people and sects to try to bring the children of Israel out of captivity to no avail. To no succession. They boycotted, they shut down highways, the same thing we've been doing for decades, and there's still no progress made. In fact, MLK, before he died, he said, I might have been integrating my people into a burning house. At least back then, you knew. Like, oh man, there's a white dude rolling by, that could be a problem. You knew who your oppressor was, you knew who your enemy was. There wasn't any question about it. But now, you live hand in hand, side by side, you're confused. And for the few of our people that do look, they look in disgust. Like, what are they talking about? Why would they say that? Why are they here? How could you be oblivious? How could you have accepted your oppressor as your friend? How could you live amongst them comfortably, knowing what they've done? And as soon as we say something about the oppression and the killings that the white man has brought forth, suddenly they're like, well, why do we have to talk about race? Why do you have to be racist? Why do we have to talk about that? They conquered how much of the world? Established kingdoms. And suddenly when you talk about what they've done, you're negative. When we talk about how being a young black man, it's hard to just walk down the street because we can get killed, we're negative. People think we're just a person to be around, but that's because we know the reality. Trayvon Martin went to a liquor store to buy some candy, never came home. Tamir Rice was at a park playing, never came home. Laquan McDonald is out living life, never came home. Being regular people living their lives and they never got to come home. That's the reality. I realized as I got older, all nations don't go through what we go through. Not everybody struggles like we struggle. I remember I was about 13, 14 years old. I hit 6 feet. My my mom and my aunt, my sister, they sat down and they said, look, when you see a police officer, this is what I want you to do. I don't want you to run. I just want you to comply because they will kill you.
That's right.
And she started crying and they all got teared up. And I was like, you know what? Everybody doesn't go through that. Every mother doesn't have to warn her son to be mindful of what he's doing if he's just being normal because he can be killed and they won't be indicted. That's only happening to the children of Israel, the so-called Negroes and Latinos. And you don't have to hear us. You can look. You can look at how many young black men have died. How many of them were unarmed. So now they're trying to film. Now they invested in body cameras. But what has that done? The system wasn't made for you. The system was not designed to be for the benefit of the Negro man and the Latino man. And we're going to speak about it. Why? Because the righteous are bold as a lion.
That's right.
We don't care about if it hurts your feelings, if it's offensive. Because the reality is the reality. Because how many of you actually have these high-paying jobs that are around here, unless you sold out? And try to grow your beard. Wear that nappy hair. See what happens. They'll tell you in a hot second, you got to cut that. You're going to have to do something else. But don't come in that office looking unprofessional. Don't come in that office with that kinky hair.
Bring it out.
Don't come in this office in this professional environment with any kind of sense of culture. You cut that hair, you cut that beard, you can come back. One of my friends, one of my housemates, works at a corporation, front desk. They make him cut his hair because it starts to get curly. But that's how our hair grows. We're allowed to. People walk down the street, even our own people. You're afraid to be dark-skinned and have nappy hair. You'd rather live over here than in the hoods. That's a curse. You hate your own people. And you see them all the time, Uncle Toms. Well, white people have never done anything wrong to me. Why did you get here in the first place? Why are you not in your land? What language did your people speak? Who took all of that away from you? That same white man that you can't stand to be away from.
Bring it
that
on!
you can't stand to hear me talk negative about. But what's the reality? They say we crabs in a barrel. All we do is tug each other down. We don't go never make no progress. Who put you in the barrel? To get that police officer job, what you gotta do? Shave that beard.
That's right.
But give me Leviticus 19 and 27.
Let them know.
And one dude, he got a shaved head. That's against the laws of God. But they don't teach our people that. Because if you want a job, if you want a little success, if you don't want to have to wait to the 4th until you can eat, or live off to that Section 8, if you want to live the real nice life, you can either bow or bounce. Read.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 27. Ye should not round the corners of your heads, neither should thou mar the corners of thy beard.
My brother right here, nice, you have a beard. I see you got some hair up top. That's what a righteous man would look like with the exclusion of the lack of fringes.
Same place. It comes from the same place that keeps it.
Right. So that's what a righteous man is supposed to look like. You're not supposed to shave your beards and cut your heads. The scriptures compares us to lions. So we use the example all the time. If you shave a lion's mane off, what does he look like? He looks like a lioness. He looks no different. You can't distinguish them if it didn't have a mane. What's the first thing you look at when you look at lions? Is that one male or female? Is he about to be territorial or protective? Oh, well, he has a mane. We should probably leave. Because he's not worried about protecting one thing. This is his turf. But you shave that beard off and you effeminate. You don't have a beard. I know a whole lot of people, and I saw somebody just do it. What about yours? My beard doesn't come in. But when it comes in, I'm going to rock it.
That's right.
And the sideburns that grow as long as ever. Because I know it's a commandment of our God.
That's right.
Give me Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20.
Yes.
Because people are still wondering, why are you here? We're commanded to go and get thee to the people of the captivity. Our people. And even if you do live out here and you think it's nice, you're in captivity. Try to do something too out of place. You get shut down. Try to go against the program. Suggest something too often. Grow that beard or grow that hair too long. Try to drive necessary, but you need permission. If you think you're free, go to Mexico right now. Go to a different state by plane, but you can't. Why? You need a passport. You have to have permission to travel. That's not free. But you know what that reminds me of? Slaves, if they tried to go too far, they had to give you a badge for you to wear so the lynch mobs would know to leave this one alone. Don't worry about him. I told him he could go up to the marketplace. I needed some eggs. Don't worry about him. Let that Negro go. I allowed him to go that far. But try to go without that badge. Take a trip to Australia tomorrow. Can you do it? No, you need a passport. So when you get on that plane, get off that plane, you show them that badge and say, see, no, I got permission. I can be here. Master said so. Master said I can travel today. It's Sunday.
Bring it on.
The same slave mentality. But give me Isaiah 30 and 20.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teacher be removed into a corner anymore.
He said he's going to see us on the corner loud where it echoes, where you can hear me. You got to listen. And even if you wasn't feeling what I was saying, you can't ignore the reality. Our people are getting gunned down in the street, whether it be here or a couple of hours away. Try to walk around here at night. Even I'm sure somebody gets harassed by the police, especially if you're too dark or you look nefarious. If you fit the right description, you already know it's going to be a problem if you do a certain thing. Try to play your music too loud in this quiet, nice, white neighborhood. See what kind of problems you encounter. Try to act too much like a Negro. You know what I meant to say. See how many problems you encounter. But that's why he said we're not going to be removed into a corner anymore. Regardless of where our people are, you will have your friendly neighborhood Israelites on the corner to teach. Every week, however often we can get out here, or get to wherever there is Israel. And if you've already conformed, and your beard is shaved, and your head is bald, this is your warning from God. Thus saith the Lord. He said you need to grow that beard, grow that hair, get out of the system. Get out of the system, because if you realize, go back to slavery, and as a tactic to make slaves hate each other, they would pin them against each other. But not just the popular light skin against the dark skin. I'm going to put this dude, matter of fact, he light. So whenever the dark one does something bad, have that light skinned slave whoop him. Because you don't really think Master made you do this. You're like, nah, man, this dude sold out. So now you're building enmity between your brothers. They have the slaves whip each other in a lot of cases because they don't want them to be the face of the enemy with their picture. Whenever you picture your enemy, you're like, oh, I'm going to think of the slave master. You get too many people having a public enemy, they'll come together and revolt. But if I got a problem with Tyrone, and Tyrone got a problem with Jerome, and Jerome got a problem with Marcus, we can't come together on nothing. We can't rebel against the system. I don't know if I can trust you, because if we get caught, I know you was the one that was supposed to whoop me. So they did the same thing. They got division. So they allow a few of the Negroes and Latinos to walk around the hood, because you've earned it. You made it out the hood. Congratulations. Get that boy a job. He shaves that beard and cuts that hair low. They don't work 40 hours a week. Give him a few extra dollars. Is he in a fraternity? Oh, even better. Haven't you ever wondered? They teach that in our schools. Get into a fraternity. It's the best way to get a job. How? Why is being in a fraternity suddenly some kind of door opening for me? Because you have to be hazed. Which means you have to prove yourself worthy to bear those Greek letters and symbols. Who are the Greeks? So-called white man.
That's right.
You have to prove yourself worthy. Show me that you want it, nigga. Show me. Wear these symbols. Haze. Bow down. And if you do it the right way, I just might throw you a bone. I just might let you sit at my table. Or I might let you in the house 2 or 3 nights a week. Yeah, he knows it's true. Because you can't ignore reality. We're not talking random. We're reading the scriptures and we're talking about the reality of our people. What we see. it's made up. Look up these names. Look up Tamir Rice, Laquan McDonald, Trayvon Martin. That was the most popular story. Now, look at all the young black men who were murdered, most of which were unarmed, whose names didn't make it to the media. Look at all the black men who were executed by police who you haven't heard of. And they say, if your enemy cannot destroy you, it's their job to distract you. You get that in movies all the time. You got the superheroes going against this super villain. And they're like, man, well, I need time to distract them. I'm going to go in for the kill. He said, all right, I got it. They did the same thing to y'all. So every time something gets bad, and we think about looting and rioting outside of our own hoods, they say, hold on. It's my job. What they mad about, what they say? He don't have no money. Man, come on, don't worry about that. We'll give you a job and we'll give you 14, 15 an hour. That's enough to lease that new Benz. Ain't that what you want, boy? Wasn't that what you wanted in the first place? You can wear them new J's with this new job. Yes, Amasa. For me, I get to work with you. Get excited and get absorbed into the system. And then when your people stand across the street from you talking about the tribulation, you look at us like we're strange. Talking with the oppressor. Waiting for us to slip. Waiting so you can do something. But in reality, you know who you are. You know this wasn't built for you. And if you didn't have the badge, how protected would you be? You're a slave off the plantation. They gave you a badge to protect you a little longer than they did everybody else. They gave you a badge. You know why? Because Massa said you can go over there if you want to, as long as you got that badge on you. And that man standing across from you, the lynch mob, he'll leave you alone because you got a badge on. We got the same badge. Now we on the same team, but you can't change this color. You can't wash away the oppression. You can't change the fact that we shouldn't even be here. But a couple generations ago, your forefathers were slaves.
Bring it out!
Where were his forefathers? Where be yours? Building up these corporations. Building up these businesses. Merrill Lynch. I know you recognize the name, not the Maryland Lynch. Whose offspring do you think that is? Anybody ever heard of Willie? Willie Lynch? Name? Does the name ring a bell? He came up with the intimidation tactics to keep the niggas aligned. He said, don't let them step out of line. It's ants versus a grasshopper. They figure out they're strong, you're done. So you scare the hell out of them. Any chance you get, you keep them down. You teach them they ain't nothing. Because at a certain point, they won't even fight back. Not out of fear, but because they have been assimilated. He said, if you do this properly, it should last about 400 years. How many years are we in? Close to 400. Over 4. Depends on the way you look at it. And where are our people? Our people are full of nonsense. They're absorbed into the hype. They want to go with anything and everything that's more entertaining than the next, chasing the lust of the flesh. And all we have is music. Turn up, go harder. I can take your girl, I'm going to take his girl, and I'm going to send her back home. I'm going to do this, and we gonna be in there when you're not even home. I already know your schedule. She sent it to me in a text. I'll be there as soon as you go to work. Then listen to that music. How much of that do you hear? But our people get mad at Macklemore, and who was that recently said there shouldn't even be a Black History Month? Either we want segregation or we want integration.
Stacey Dash.
Stacey Dash. I agreed. I'm like, you know what? We should either want segregation or integration. And we asked for integration, so here it is. So what's the problem? You wanted to go under that system? You thought that was going to help? You thought the same Constitution that considered you 3/5 of a man when it was written would suddenly turn around because it's 2015? No, you're wrong. Segregation was the best we had because we had enough time to establish our own kingdoms. And as soon as we read scriptures that say God is not dealing with anybody but the Negro or the Latino, wait! Oh, say that! What about the master, he gave me a badge. He says I can work for him as long as I don't grow this hair. And as long as I don't grow that beard, I can have me a job. Making all this money. How could you talk about master? How could you have Stockholm Syndrome so influential that you pass it down to your children? Because what your son gonna be? 9 times out of 10, you want them to follow in your footsteps. You want them to follow. So you're gonna raise your son up with the same ideology you've been indoctrinated with. Don't do too much, don't step out of line. You say yes sir, you say no sir. And if they don't talk, you don't speak. It's worked for me, it'll work for you, son. The same thing. Because when they come to our schools, when we had a career day, the 2 or 3 days a year we had them, actually the 2 or 3 days that we actually had them, maybe once a year, they taught us about interviews. And it was maybe one person that came in talking about a black business, and everybody was uninterested. He's like, nah, I don't want all that. That's too hard. You gotta do all that. Oh no, I don't want what you working with. But how do I get that job? You said I gotta do it. But then when they come to your hood, your curriculum is different. They teach you how to be CEOs. It's every other nation comes to America with the hope of making it big. I got in the Uber the other day, a Russian guy, barely spoke English, but he said, I came to America because I'm gonna build up a business. I'm just doing this in the meantime. Chinese man who was a travel agent. He said, oh, I already have my own company. I just do this for a side job. But I get inside the car with a Latino or a Negro man. They're like, man, yeah, this is all that pays my bills. This is it. I lose this, that's it. I don't have any companies to fall back on. I don't have any financial status or any assets that I can rely on. If I lose this measly job, I go under. That's how the system is designed. Anybody who's not us, you have a chance. Anybody who's willing to assimilate, you have a chance. But if you plan on retaining any kind of dignity, any kind of manhood or gumption, what little culture you may have learned at this point, you got to give in. Read that from the top.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction.
He said, I know it's hard. And even though I gave you a little bit too much to swallow, I gave you slavery. I gave you oppression. He said, I understand. You guys are going through it. The Negroes and Latinos, I know you've had enough. But he said, don't worry about it. Go ahead.
And the water of affliction, you should not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore.
He said, don't worry about it. I'm going to send somebody to educate you. And you won't even hear of us until you see us in person. Why? The famous statement, the revolution will not be televised. Look at Baltimore. They still riot. They're still trying to fight for justice, but how much of it is on the TV? And Sasha Dash came out and said something. Oh, everybody went crazy. Social media blew up. Everybody forgot about Flint, Michigan. They forgot about Tamir Rice, and they said, oh, LeBron James, we was expecting more from him. And they said, oh, they catch it on. Give him something else. Hey, Sasha, go out there. I give you 100,000, say something that's going to wow them. And what our people do? Got caught up. Got sidetracked. And any bit of drama or anything interesting that's outside of actual work. Stuff gets hard, they gave you Empire, your favorite show. Go home and watch that. You ain't got time to be standing out in our streets. Go home and watch Empire. Taste the soul. Go out there and enjoy yourself. It's all free. Concerts, boom, we got it all because we know y'all love to sing and dance and eat. So here, take that. Don't even worry about it. This whole Tamir Rice thing, we gonna look back one day and laugh. Y'all was so fed up and so mad at the oppression you was going through. We gonna look back on this and laugh. You guys won't even know what you was fighting for. Okay. You know what, Master? You take the night off and be all happy. Give me Deuteronomy 28. Be so ecstatic just to get a little break, just to get something, especially for free. That's it. If just like we talked about, nobody wants to make that sacrifice because in reality, you could be the one put in the position to where you are the one who takes the bullet. You could be the first, the person that throws the first Molotov. You could get hit, but it's easier to enjoy yourself. 128, I want verse 1.
Deuteronomy.
So we gonna read out of Deuteronomy, because the Most High gave us an ultimatum. Say, you keep my commandments, you'll be special. You'll have a kingdom. You'll be above all people of the face of the earth. You don't, and we're gonna have a problem. I can't tell your nationality, but if you're not with our people or you are not our people, there cannot be any peace. We know it now. We have time right now. We're talking right now. Don't try to.
I gotta go somewhere.
You gotta go? I don't know how long we'll be here. I'm not sure if I can promise you we'll be here when you come back. How much time do you have now?
For the starters, I tell you, you are wrong.
I'm wrong. Now, if I were to allow you to go get something to prove to me that the Bible was false, would you be able to do it?
Say it again, please.
Find anything inside the Bible, outside the Bible, that proves that this book is false. Prove it.
You obsessed with the Bible.
Just prove it. That's all I want you to do. You're telling me that what I believe in isn't real. I want you to come with some evidence. There's a whole lot of people that don't believe in the Bible, but when I ask them, they can't substantiate anything. In the same sense, I took a psychology class, and he said that when people have something or a preconceived notion in their subconscious, it was a lot of times, it was because they refused to try and seek inside themselves why they felt that way. And when they did, they realized how falsified their ideology was. Don't come across and don't touch anything.
9 people wasting time.
English or Spanish?
Are you wasting your time? Why are you talking with us? Why would you talk with us if you believe that the Bible was false?
This is false. This is
How
not.
can you prove it? Prove it. That's all I'm asking you to do. He said, now Scripture say produce your cause. You come back with some evidence. Come back with something substantial. You said the Bible was false. All I want you to do, come back with an article, a book. What's going on?
You gotta.
I'm sorry?
You gotta.
Pull over and talk with us. I couldn't hear you. Just come back.
Please, can you shut up?
Oh, go ahead. Speak. Go ahead. This time makes sense. Don't say the same sentence over and over again, because I'm starting to become impatient.
We humans have a lot of cells, brain cells. You can.
Are you about to tell me about anatomy to tell me that the Bible is false?
Oh my God, this guy doesn't listen.
I don't think you have anything to say because you've been talking for a while. I stopped multiple times waiting to hear your point. And now you're going to go into brain cells to prove to me that the Bible is false.
A little drunk.
Oh, you're drunk!
A little.
But you know all about the Bible, but you're drunk. You know how to contradict it, but you're drunk. You've been drinking? And then you want to have a philosophical conversation, some kind of conscious conversation. And it's going to work out. Read that. Just hold on. Let me just read you this one thing.
It's better when you are drinking.
Isaiah chapter 41 verse 21. Produce your cause, saith the Lord. Bring forth your strong reasons, saith the King of Jacob.
He said, produce your cause and bring forth strong reasons. Anybody could say anything. I could be like, hey, this dude can fly. He could not, I don't mean run fast. This dude right here can fly. Above a building. Anyway, man, this dude can fly like forever. But if you didn't see it, would you believe it? Why? Because that's asinine. Prove it.
Oh my God.
So, give me 1 Thessalonians.
We gotta talk longer.
Prove all things. No. 5 and 21.
I gotta go.
He said, produce your cause. We're willing to talk. It doesn't have to be amongst our people. Any of you on the bus stop, regardless of ethnicity, come over. Say something. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't believe in the Bible. Let me hear about it.